Bleeding Purple Podcast.
This is a 52-yard try left hash with 31 seconds to go. Snap, spot, kick, up, distance, fine. It is no good. He missed it.
Talk good and loud so they all can hear you. Make a short speech so they all will listen to you. Then sit down so they all will like you. Thank you.
Tickled his foot, he's in a good place. I want Teddy. I don't want to go somewhere else. So.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Patrick. Hey, bud.
Hey,
So the Vikings lost to Carolina. 124 was the final.
Told you it could happen.
It could happen, and it did happen. I was so confident. Keenum looked not so good, but stat line, not so bad. 27-44, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, but...
Too much passing.
Yeah. But 2 interceptions and the one weird fumble thing, which was goofy. Thielen played well again. Cam Newton wasn't that great, but...
No, he wasn't at all.
Still had the big run when they needed it, and there was maybe a hold there that we can discuss at a later time. But first of all, I would like to, real quick, a PSA. Now, there are a lot of people like you and like me who wear certain things on game day superstitiously. And now is not the time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, me too. I am also guilty. It's a PSA, so we can remind everyone after this week. I bet we aren't alone. I bet there are a number of people who are confident enough in this team.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't need to wear the jersey this week. I don't need to put the sweatshirt on this week.
But you do.
But you do. And I didn't, and you didn't, and thank you for at least trying. I never put mine on. Even after I saw your tweet, I still didn't go upstairs and put it on. But I did switch locations to switch the vibe up to get the juju in the right direction. But
it almost worked.
Yeah, so that was real quick. That was my little PSA. Now's not the time. We have to stick to our superstitions. Superstitions. That's maybe that's maybe more accurate actually. But the Vikings lose. Defense didn't look that great. Let's start. I don't want to say blame, but where do you place the most blame? Not necessarily on one player, but like what area of this game did cause this loss?
The play calling.
Think so?
Pat Shermer, yeah.
Interesting.
He's been good this year, but
this
wasn't his best game. They definitely put a lot on Keenum's shoulders. I understand they were down in the fourth quarter, but I think they only ran the ball 5 times in the second half. Like we were talking about before, Jerick McKinnon didn't get any carries in the second half after he had like 46 yards in the first half.
He was the only thing that was working offensively for a while in the first half. And I didn't even think about it until I read that tweet that you had. But to not have a single carry in the second half is...
Yeah. Well, they had that fluke fumble, I guess. I still don't think that was a fumble.
I don't understand how...
If that was Tom Brady, that wouldn't have been a fumble.
Yeah, here was the way I was trying to explain it to a guy at work today. If you, say you were watching the video of that play, if you remove the other dude and it looks like a pass...
The ball goes forward.
And a spiral. Not only forward, but forward and spiraling. You threw it. That was a throw.
Whatever. But, I mean, you got to do enough to, for that not to matter in the first place. And throwing 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
It's not good.
The one interception was so bad. That was a Washington.
They were both bad because the second one at Diggs, people were like, oh, Diggs bobbled, they didn't catch it. That was a screen pass, and Keenum threw it up above his head.
Yeah, a foot and a half over him.
So,
and even
that's
if he catches the ball there, he's going to get destroyed by
Yeah.
the cornerback coming up. So was already a negative play, but wound up being a horribly negative play.
Yeah. So Keenum passed too much, like in the Steelers game, too much was like put on his shoulders. But I don't know what they thought maybe they could do with the injuries to the offensive line. Like they probably couldn't do as much. Like I don't think they ran any screens.
I noticed that it was, and
they
that
normally do.
Also because of I guess to go back to the question, where do you put the most blame? Maybe the most blame here, in addition to the play calling aspect of it, is the offensive line or maybe the offensive line and the injuries there, or inactives there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Attributed greatly to that,
Yeah. I don't know if you can blame people for getting hurt, though.
Well, no, I don't mean blame in the sense I knew blame was not the right word there, but like, where do what was the cause, I guess? I don't want to blame it because you say Case Keenum because he didn't play well. I don't want to put blame on him like it's all his fault, because obviously it wasn't.
But I woke up and I saw the Elfline was out, and I was like, ooh, I don't know anymore.
Totally.
I didn't know, because I don't remember hearing anything about he had a shoulder injury, but I don't remember hearing it being like bad that it would keep him out of the game or whatever.
He practiced all week, didn't he? There was nothing.
I don't remember, but
there didn't seem to be anything to me, anyways. That was like, oh, he may or may not start.
Yeah, I just remember Mike Remmers, or Reamers, as Jim Nance likes to say, and David Morgan being out on Friday, and that's really all anyone really worried about.
Yeah, you were right though on the screens too. Elfline was out. Screens were almost non-existent.
Yeah, I was talking with JR or whatever on Twitter.
Yeah,
people probably know who he is. Mm-hmm. And he pointed that out, that Elfline being out had a big, factor in them not running screens, because he's usually the guy that's like speeding downfield.
Yeah,
making those lead blocks and stuff like that. So that definitely had an impact. And then the last drive that they had, where they ran in the kickoff out of the end zone. They could have
and this seems to be
touchback, saved like 8 seconds.
Exactly. And
it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is.
But when it's that short of an amount of time, and it's that, they
only have one timeout.
And you almost always, the 25-yard line is better than your return almost every single time you're doing that.
Unless you're Cordero.
Yeah. And I was getting frustrated because I saw this in a few games. If it was tight at the end, then they started running it out. Like, that is the worst time to do it. Like, opening kickoff, go for it. Bring it out of the end zone 10 yards deep.
But they would have got the ball
come on
the 25. And then one of the passes was to Treadwell. Like,
Why?
And then that last pass he was just forcing it to Thielen in like quadruple coverage. So I didn't like that sequence of plays. They had plenty of time. They could have even ran the ball.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of time.
And all three of their timeouts, did they not? Or no, was that after they had one
timeout.
Okay.
Still.
Yeah.
And then like McKinnon didn't even get involved. He wasn't even involved. I don't know if he was hurt. I don't think he was. So I don't know what was going on with that, because he was doing well.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, it was the only thing working for them for a little while in the first half there.
And the defense's performance, I think, is a little deceiving just based on those two runs. People were like, those matter. Those are the big plays you can't have. Yeah, obviously, but you take those away, and they did really well against Cam Newton and the rest of the Panthers offensive stars or whatever. Like, take away that 60-yard run. Cam Newton, I think he has like 8 yards rushing all day.
Yeah.
He had like 130 yards passing. He had that crazy Superman scramble pass. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
It's just super annoying.
It is. Well, I heard on the radio today somebody mentioned, it was the Courtney Cronin, I think her last name is, ESPN, and she said that they finally got good Cam. And I don't know if he was like good necessarily, but he showed. I thought he looked a lot closer to good Cam than we have seen the last couple times they've played him, I guess.
Well, when they played him, but I don't think he was good at all. Yeah, that one run is really all that he did well, I think. Okay, maybe the touchdown pass.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him. And then you take away that 60-yard run for Jonathan Stewart, and he only had like 40 yards rushing, and Christian McCaffrey had 35 yards rushing. So
Yeah.
the defense played well. They just had those 2 plays. You can't give those up. And I don't think they created any turnovers. You know, they haven't been doing that this year, and it kind of came back to bite them this game.
Yeah.
Despite all this, Vikings still had a chance to win at the end of the game.
Yes. And not only win, but win against a legit playoff team on the road.
Yeah,
That's-
I'll even throw some of the blame on Adam Thielen. He dropped 2 touchdown passes.
Yes,
you
he
got to
did.
catch those.
You have to.
You know that one that's catch, not a catch. Just hold on to the ball, and we're not even talking about this.
Exactly. The rules stuff, it frustrates me to discuss it as, like, because it's not the refs aren't the reason they lost the game. And that
No,
being a catch or not being a catch isn't the reason they lost the game. There's so many other things that go into that. But I do get frustrated by rules like that, or the fumble, not fumble, forward pass rule. It feels like if there was more... See, but I don't want more explanation from the ref, because that sucks too. But I want somebody to be able...
Because they're just going to read the rule book.
Yeah, I want somebody to be able to explain to me why they are calling what they're calling. Because then I don't think I would have a problem. I heard something about like an ear hole today on the radio, where like if it passes the ear hole, then that equals a forward pass. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't remember. I think it might
Pretty
have
sure
been
his
legal.
hand was past his head or whatever when he threw it.
I just want somebody to explain to me why it's being called what it is, because it so often feels to me like they're just like, we're going to go fumble.
That's what we feel like
Yeah,
today.
we don't really know either, and we're just going to go fumble.
But with the Thielen catch, I was trying to look at it from like the Panthers perspective. Like if you're a Panthers fan, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that wasn't a catch. He's bobbling the ball or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, you can make that case. So that's why I wasn't like, oh, my God, it's not a catch. But
the rule
I did enjoy Mike Zimmer's reaction, though. But
yeah, it was incredible. And it was like 4 times he let the guy, and that was my favorite.
Refs by now got to be like, all right, Mike, okay.
Yep, we got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said in his press conference today that he stopped getting responses from the league in regards to
No, he said he sent stuff last week and didn't get back to him. Somebody's like, did you send too much? And he's like, no, I never sent too much. Yeah, he was a little feisty today.
Yeah, he was. He was pissed today. Some poor soul at the NFL office has got like a stack of Mike Zimmer mail, and it's just like,
got more from Zimmer. It's like a
just
stack.
put it in the corner with the other tapes that he sent us.
And a stack. Here we go. This is this week's every play.
Complaints. Yep, exactly. A lot of injuries during the game. The offensive line was really goofy and moved around a lot. Should we be worried about these injuries? I mean, Elflein sounds like he's coming back. We don't know much on Reef, but
I think Remmer said he's going to try and come back this week.
really,
I think
that would be great.
So,
but who else left? And then Rudolph left in a walking boot as well. I hear
a lot of those I think are precautionary.
Okay.
Because walking boots just sound a lot worse than
they sure do.
they usually are.
It's like, God, this whole team
But
is injured right now.
I guess Reef's injury is not as bad as they probably thought it was. That's what Zimmer said today.
Yeah, I heard him. Somebody asked if it was broken.
So it
and he
wasn't-
like
no, it's
laughed
not
at
broken.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good.
So-
A good sign.
But if he has to sit out for a game or two, do what's needed. Make sure people are healthy for the playoffs, because he's a big part of their success this year. So
Definitely. Well, and I think
the Bengals, they're not, it seems like an easy win. It should be an easy win. You never know in the NFL, but it's a good game to maybe rest some players. And
if you think in Viking fan brain, this is the beginning of the end, because they lose to Cincinnati, and the wheels come off, and you lose out, and you don't even make the playoffs. Is that possible? Could they lose out and not make the playoffs?
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Because all the teams are playing each other.
Yeah, and one win, and they have the division too.
Yeah, all the playoff teams are pretty much playing each other over the next couple weeks. So it's going to be hard. I'm pretty sure the Seahawks are pretty much out of it now after they lost yesterday, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Not have to worry about them. And now
Blair Walsh missed again.
oh God, he's terrible. And now Philadelphia too it's like everything is shifting, and this was a weird week in the NFL.
Yeah, you don't know how they're going to do the next couple of weeks. Even though their schedule might be easy, they still have a good team. Like, their defense is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sucks for them.
It totally does, to lose a guy that was playing that well.
It's good for the Vikings. I'm sorry if people don't like to hear that, but that's good for the Vikings.
I think there's a way. Can't we have it where you can say it's good for the Vikings and not have that mean, like, I'm so happy that this guy got...
Yeah, we're not saying, like, oh, thank God.
I've heard so many of those the last few days. Is like,
that's
not
like
that I'm happy about it. It's like, we know you're not happy, guy. Come on, like, why?
But that's
are we
what
all
happened
that
with. That's what happened with Aaron Rodgers. When people were like, "Don't cheer his injury."
Yeah.
It's like we're not cheering his injury. We're cheering the fact that he's unable to play and makes that team not as good as they would be without him or with him.
I don't think that makes us bad people.
There's other things that make us bad people. But
yeah, exactly. That's not it. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Injuries are scaring me. I think one of the biggest things that we can take from this game is, I guess, from the season in general, how well that offensive line has been playing and how much of an impact Elflein, Rookie of the Year, has been having on that offense, because it was pretty apparent that they were not able to do, and whether or not it was just him, I mean, that's up for debate, but they were not able to do what they were used to doing and didn't play as well in the situations where, I mean, Keenum missed a lot of throws that he has been making over the last several weeks.
Well, I looked at, like, a lot of the time his options or whatever were getting taken away, because usually he's quick to release the ball and, like, his first or second look. But yesterday it looked like he got a little gun shy or whatever and was just getting happy feet, like somebody else used to wear number 7 in the backfield for the Vikings.
Oh, it's so familiar.
But he had that nice touchdown pass to Rudolph. That was a nice pass. Mm-hmm. And he had that pass to Thielen, which people were like, oh, that's all Adam Thielen. But Keenum did throw the ball like 25 yards in the air, so you got to give a little bit of that to him.
It feels like, and maybe this is kind of Case Keenum in general, but it feels like his bad plays are so ugly that they tend to overshadow how well he plays the rest of the game, because like he'll play incredibly and then have that one interception that is just so awful that's the only thing you can think about that over the next week. Do you think that his performance, like you said with the run defense, if you take out those 2 interceptions, well, let's leave the Diggs interception, but if you take out the other one, do you think that's a game they win with that kind of a performance?
I don't know, just because the kinds of plays that they were calling just weren't what they were usually calling this year. It didn't look like this year's offense. It looked actually a little bit more like last year's offense.
Yes.
And they were relying on, the short pass game to get them yards instead of, maybe throwing a screen or running a draw play. But
do you think that they abandoned the run like they did because they felt like they needed to score? Because we're at that point, I mean, it was pretty early on in the second half there where they were down
seems
2
like
scores.
A logical reason for why they would do that, but I just feel like there was still a bunch of time left.
Yeah.
Because they got away from the run pretty much in the third quarter.
Yeah.
But I think they only had like maybe 2 drives in the third quarter, because one of them was Keenum, the fumble pass or whatever. But I was thinking about this today, like the Vikings lost because of some of the things that Keenum did yesterday, but they also were in the game because of some of the things that he did yesterday. So
yeah, I would agree with that completely.
With the criticism, you got to look at some of the stuff that he did well.
Yeah.
Also, there's no reason to.
He had a number like ducking under Munnerlin, and he's moving in the pocket really well. I mean, he had a bunch of really, really good plays. Like there were portions of that game where he looked the way he bad look.
I'm not even sure if Teddy could have done something like that.
Yeah. I already, God. So Keenum throws a couple interceptions, and of course, the Teddy dudes. Yeah. Can't we move past it? It's just not happening this year, man. It's cool. Like I like Teddy. I think he's great. I think he's going to be super fun next year when Keenum is playing elsewhere for millions and millions of dollars a year.
For the Jaguars.
I'm very excited about Teddy next year. That's not happening this year. It just is not happening.
No, and it's fine.
Yeah. Unless it's garbage time, just to see, it ain't happening. So
next week it might happen if they're blowing out the Bengals and it's like the 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter and they don't want Keenum to get hurt. Throw Keenum in there.
Home and Teddy will get a wonderful round of standing ovation. It'll be.
And then he'll throw like 3 touchdowns and they'll be like, oh man.
Yeah, exactly. In 5 minutes, and he will too. You know he will. That's exactly what will happen.
Yeah. There's 3 games left. There's not enough. It's too late to change it up. It's too late.
Too late. Exactly. And the teams that are changing it up are doing so only out of necessity because of injury and stuff like that. So, as far as the NFC is concerned, the Vikings now are the odds-on favorites to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Now that this Wentz stuff has happened, Vegas odds makers.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, have the Vikings. God, I forget what it is. I want to say was 10-1.
5-1.
Yes, 6 or 5, something like that.
They were 7-1.
So,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I was just gonna say, do you think is that? I don't want to. Accurate isn't the right word that I want to use, but are they most likely to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, do you think, at this point?
I think you have to look at it like, are they capable of beating any team in the NFC? And I think you can answer that with a yes.
Agreed.
Even yesterday when they definitely did not play their best game, they still had a chance to win that at the end. So they beat the Rams. They beat the Saints at the beginning of the year, no matter what. No matter if the Saints are better this time of year, better now than they were before, because the Saints just went and lost to the Falcons. Saints have lost to the Patriots and the Vikings. So those are 3 good teams. It's not like the Saints have lost to like the Browns and the Bengals at the beginning of the year. They lost to good teams. And the Vikings beat them. So I just think you have to look at it and see if can the Vikings beat anyone in the NFC, and I think this year you can answer that as long as their offensive line is somewhat healthy.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, I think like you said, if they stay healthy, I feel like they could. Yeah, but how afraid? Okay, how afraid are you of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers? Not at all. You think they're too far gone?
They almost lost they needed overtime to beat the Bucks 2 weeks ago, and they needed overtime to beat the Browns this week. And just because Aaron Rodgers comes back does not mean that he's going to be the same quarterback that he's known to be. Maybe he'll have a couple crazy throws, but he's still going to be like he's not going to be 100%.
Yeah, and he is always telling that fan base to relax after 4 games because they're not looking very good and he's not playing very well and the fan lines are blowing up with panic.
Well, and they have to play
seems to happen almost every year.
They have to play the Panthers this week.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if they lose, they're out of.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think they're out completely, but they're out of they can't win the NFC North.
Yeah. So it would just be.
And the Panthers are going to be trying to win because they're trying to get a bye week.
That wild card would be, I mean, there's got to be at least one team from the NFC South that's going to be in there, Carolina and Atlanta, or
if not 3.
Yeah, if not all 3, and then that would be your 2 wild cards, and Packers go home. That would be ideal for me.
First time since I don't know, like 2008.
I was going to say it's been a long time.
I think it was Aaron Rodgers' first year as a starter. Is the last time they didn't make the playoffs. So it'd be nice to not see them in there for a change.
Fan base is so spoiled; it just disgusts me. It's
and then
disgusting.
one thing goes wrong and they want to clean house.
Exactly. Fire everybody. Place is a joke. That's the best thing on the radio in the Twin Cities is after the Packers, when Mackie and Judd do the Packer fan line stuff. Oh my God. Is that hilarious.
Go!
Hey, Steve. Hi, Steve. Oh, this isn't. No, I'm Steve. You're Steve, man. Drunk guy, can't remember his name.
Yeah.
So good. Oh, it's so good. I guess. Do you have anything else on the Carolina game? Anything else that kind of left its mark on you? I can't think of anything. The screens, I wanted to mention that they didn't run any screens. Injuries we talked about.
I mean, they turned the ball over 3 times, so it's just hard to win a game like that.
Exactly. That ain't the formula. It's not a complicated formula, but if you turn the ball over 3 times and give up how many sacks? 8 sacks? Or whatever
6.
they gave up? 6? Yeah. You're not going to win very many games in the NFL.
And I'm pretty sure the Panthers, they rushed for over 200 yards, which is the most on the Vikings this year. And they ran the ball 36 times, which I'm pretty sure that's the most any team has run on the Vikings this year.
Yeah.
Seems legitimate. And Harrison Smith only having 1 tackle is pretty telling about the Vikings' performance yesterday.
Yes. What did you think about Sendejo and his performance? Because he had
getting his ankles broken.
Yeah, had a great
Cam Newton?
moment. Yeah, had a great moment, and then a not so awesome moment after that.
Oh yeah, what? He could have ran. He could have ran there.
If he stays on the sideline, he's scoring a touchdown. I have no idea what he was looking at there.
But the Vikings also should have scored.
Yeah. Well, and that was it. That happened, and then drop pass, and then bad throw from Keenum to Diggs on the back shoulder.
They were 1 for 4 in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's not how they've been this year. So
no, they've been really good. And
3 turnovers. Only scoring once in the red zone. That's because of drop passes, pretty much.
You're not going to win very many games if that's the way you.
It's hard. They almost did in the Kai format.
Yeah. That was so bad. I think
it's blocked.
Yeah, that was what I was just going to say. It's a bad kick when the announcers think it got blocked because the flight was so ugly. And he knew it right away. I mean, as soon as his foot hit that ball, he knew it was terrible.
Yeah. Was Tony Romo sick yesterday? He was kind of quiet.
I don't know. I did. His color game is changing, and he's not predicting as many plays.
Getting a little more.
Telling you
Nancy's probably like,
you gotta quit, dude. You gotta quit.
I could sense a little tension in between those two yesterday when Nance would be saying something, and then Romo would interrupt him, and Nance would be like, "Oh, yep, okay."
That thing too, Tony.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was saying.
I don't know how long that relationship's going to end. Maybe it's good, but it doesn't sound that way.
If Jim Nance can put up with Phil Simms in a chair next to him for all those years, I'm sure Tony Romo ain't going to be a problem.
I'm not sure if Jim Nance likes Romo getting all the glory. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess.
Phil Simms got all the
ridicule,
publicity because he's an idiot. But yeah.
Oh, I thought about that for a little bit during the game where I was like, I am just so pumped that this is not Phil Simms calling this
game. My God. And he would probably be ripping on the Vikings the whole time.
Oh, I hate listening to the call game. I hate it. I don't mind. Collinsworth, I think, is pretty good. Joe Buck is whatever.
If the Vikings are not playing the Packers.
Yeah.
That's pretty much for every announcer, though.
That's it, yeah. The Packers are... They always talk about Aaron Rodgers. It bugs me. What else? Well, I guess we can just move on to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati.
Bengals. That's on Sunday. What time is that? At noon again? Noon Central time start?
Yeah. I don't think they're going to flex that game.
Yeah, probably not. Not a great matchup on paper. No. Vikings, I think they're 10-point favorites at this point.
Old foes. Marvin Lewis and Mike Zimmer. I think this is the first time they've met in the regular season. I think so.
Is it? Oh,
I know they played the preseason.
Yeah.
But I think it's the first time they've met in the regular season. So I think a lot of things the Bengals do on defense is going to look familiar to the Vikings because they run a pretty much a similar defense to what Zimmer was doing because it worked.
Was that a Thursday night game that they played against Pittsburgh, or was that a Monday night?
Who, the Bengals?
Yeah, the Bengals. When it
it was Monday.
Crazy
physical. The
yeah.
brawl.
Yeah. And I was watching that game, and it was strange to watch that defense look so much like what the Vikings do. I mean, obviously it's different. You can tell that they're doing different things.
They don't have as many good players.
That too. But that double A gap and like bring everybody up front and move everybody around.
And they got big guy in the middle like Linval Joseph. They got Geno Atkins. They got some pretty good linebackers. I'm not sure if Burfict's going to play because he sat out this week with a concussion, so that's something to keep an eye on. Joe Mixon, I really don't care if he plays or not because I don't care anything about him.
Yeah.
Because he is a jackass.
Because he's a big turd.
Yeah, well, anytime you punch him in the face, I'm not going to feel bad for you.
That video is so...
Noggin rocked.
So bad. So,
yeah.
What were we seeing before? Pac-Man Jones, too.
Yep, he's out for the year. So, Bengals are down some players. And, I mean, having Andy Dalton as your quarterback is like you're down a player, too. So, even though his stats may look pretty good this year, he's still...
not very nice. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, he's still Andy Dalton.
Well, and they're basically...
they do have A.J. Green. He can...
yes. Great point.
He's healthy. He can break the game open. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure Rhodes is going to be on him all day. So, that'll be a good matchup to watch.
They're basically done. They're going to fire their coach. It seems like after last week, that was at home that they got beat like that.
Yeah, I think this game could be closer than some people think just because the two coaching staffs or whatever are so familiar with what each team runs.
Yeah.
But if the Vikings don't win by more than 10 points, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. Who else... I mean, aside from A.J. Green, is there anything else on offense they have? I mean, they got basically nothing at running back because Mixon was their draft pick.
Yeah, they got Giovanni Bernard. He's pretty much their only running back left.
Yeah.
Which, he's all right, but he's not like an every down running back. Tyler Eifert, he was in there, but he was lost like halfway into the season.
That was who I was thinking of.
Brandon LaFell, he's their other wide receiver, but he's never been anything really in the NFL. He's bounced around a couple teams.
And then Dalton is so bad at times and so mediocre the rest of the time.
They've got a couple playmakers on defense, but their rush defense I think is either last or second to last. So, maybe the Vikings will give Jerick McKinnon the ball in the second half this time.
Just try. Good try.
Yeah. So Latavius Murray could bounce back. But all that also depends on, who's playing on the Vikings offensive line. I would expect Elflein to be back because him sitting out on Sunday was kind of a surprise for a bunch of people, including myself.
Me too.
So might have just been precautionary. They didn't want to.
That was Zimmer got asked about that and kind of didn't flip his lid, but had a very.
I was just gonna say that.
Had a very frustrated response.
No, he was like, "You really asked me that?" Because the guy was like, "Are you gonna try and play it safe?
Rest guys
before the playoffs?" And he's like, "First of all, we're not in the playoffs yet. Haven't clinched anything. And if they're healthy, then they're gonna play." Which I like.
Yeah,
because
and I like that he said that's how it works. I was like, yeah, it's good.
It's not like you have Peyton Manning and you're 14-2 going in the last game of the season.
Exactly, with a bunch of guys that have been playing together for 8 years. Like you have an offensive line that hasn't played together ever before the season.
Yeah, the seeding in the NFC is probably going to come down to the last week. So,
quick Zimmer question: do you think that there is?
No, he does not sleep.
Well, that was not what I was going to ask, but I noted. I don't know if he does either. But do you think that there is a way to ask him questions that wouldn't frustrate him? Or do you think it's the questions that they're asking?
Yeah, if your name isn't Chris Thompson.
Then he's fine with you. It's just Chris that catches it.
He hates him so much.
He's not a big fan of Dan Barrero on K-Fan either. They'll have him on K-Fan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that gets like... I kind of like listening to uncomfortable radio, but that is like really hard to listen to at times.
I can't remember the last time I listened to K-Fan. Like, I don't even listen to their fan line or whatever anymore, because they have that one on with 1500 now, which is pretty much the same, but not as homerish.
Yeah, it's really a bummer that 1500 doesn't have an FM frequency, I guess, to like hang with those guys, because it's such an unfair fight. K-Fan just kills in every rating. They kill everybody. It's unbelievable. They just have a rating.
Because they're all over the place too, right?
Yeah, everywhere.
They have like multiple stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait.
What was the question?
Oh, Mike Zimmer. Oh, yeah. Is there a way to ask him questions?
Yeah. Well, do you think that me and you could ask him questions that he wouldn't get angry about? Because I don't think either one of us would have asked, are you going to ask guys?
Well thought out questions that you know he's going to probably answer not in a sarcastic way.
Yeah.
Like, don't ask him if Case Keenum is going to be the starter for the rest of the year when there's three weeks left.
It just kind of boggles my mind, and I get it, because like
it's their job.
Yeah, they have a job to do too, and that's what people want to hear is we want to get a definitive starter. But you would think if you were a writer in that room,
it seems like Thomason is always the guy that asks.
Don't ask that question, man. I'm sure that's it too, and there's a room full of people shaking their head at the one guy asking the same question. But
he used to be fine pretty much with everything, but I think after that stuffed animal incident last year.
Yeah,
he kind of looked at the media in a different kind of way.
There were a number of things that changed in not only in the way Zim operated, but in the way players answered questions too. Like after that, because that was the bye week, wasn't it? And last year,
around then, yeah.
Yeah. There's so, and then all of a sudden,
that was before they played the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah, and then Zimmer started being, because he doesn't lie because he's bad at it, but he started doing the like, I'm obviously not telling you.
He'll give you they did good and they did bad, but we got stuff to work on.
Yeah.
But they did some good stuff too. So, like he'll give you now he'll give you every end. I'm sure the Vikings PR department has something to do with that.
Yeah.
But after the game is pretty much the only time you're really going to get any kind of real, maybe like honest answers out of him, because even when you ask him during the week, like, is so and so hurt or is he going to play, and he's like, yeah, I think so, and then they're out.
Or he just gives you that straight, like, is this like they asked about
I don't know,
Reef today? Yeah, I don't know, not sure,
but we'll
think about it on Wednesday. It's like
that's gamemanship too.
It is, and you can't blame a guy when everybody else that has his job is doing that. For doing that, like I understand where he's coming from. It makes sense to me, but like I said,
there's no rule that he has to give details on every single thing. He just the coaches just have to provide an injury report with what the injury is. They don't have to give any details or anything like that. So he's just doing what's necessary. I think he's gotten away from evaluating players, is what's kind of bit him in the butt last year. I think that rubbed some people the wrong way. This year.
I'm wondering if that was part of when the vets of the team went in after the season were like, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Stop telling us we're playing poorly.
Anthony Barr and offensive line.
Yeah.
And this year, like, I think he was asked about the offensive line today. Well, obviously. And they're like, what did you think of it? And he was like, well, they just not. We all have stuff to work on, and they did some good things, but they did some bad things too. So, we just gotta work on some stuff and get better next time. So that's pretty much, last year it'd be like,
year would have been,
they are soft.
Yeah.
Wow, jeez.
Oh shit. Oh, is it? Oh, are they?
Okay.
Sounds great.
So that's also when what's his face, Alex Boone, was on the team. So. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
he was malcontent.
He's still fun. I enjoy watching his press conferences because he'll be sarcastic too, or just be like, people ask him like this super detailed question, he'll just be like, no,
Yeah. The longest question ever. No, I don't think so. All right.
Yeah,
I do like I guess he seems better this season than he was last season, and I like the way he's not lying, or I guess not trying to lie this year, where before it was like, I'm going to mislead you, kind of, but maybe not. And it was almost like he was, and then he would slip and say some stuff that he didn't want to say, you know? Yeah. And it seems like that stuff is all out this year. He's only telling you what he wants to tell you.
Was it this summer or what? I can't remember, but whenever people would ask him about Teddy, like, how's he doing or whatever, and be like, he's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you guys. It's like, exactly. I don't have to tell you guys anything. It's not the season.
I do like that. Do you think that he does that because that's his personality, or because Bill Belichick does that?
Yeah.
I agree completely. I think that's just how he would. I think if Belichick never happened, he would still.
But you know what? I'm pretty sure Bud Grant would be the same way.
Exactly right.
If he was doing that stuff today.
Wonderful, wonderful point. Predictions for this week, good sir? I did very.
Let's go with a rebound game and do 40-13.
40-13.
Yeah.
Good golly.
Yeah, Pat Shurmur is gonna come out.
Surprised the furnace didn't turn on there. All right. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think the Vikings are going to win 24-14. Vikings win. Superstitions are important to not give up.
Yeah,
superstitions.
I'm not messing up that on Sunday. I mean, I went to a Christmas party on Saturday night, so that kind of had something to do with it, because I think I woke up like 5 minutes before the start of the game.
Yep.
So, because games are on at 10 o'clock out here.
I was just going to say that, because it's a lot earlier for you than it. See, and I got kids too, so I wake up, I'm like, I'm so ready.
Yeah, you're like, this is nap time now.
Yeah, exactly. What else should we cover about? I mean, the Bengals, they're basically a car crash in slow motion at this point.
They just got blown out. They got blown out by the Bears, who the Vikings play in 3 weeks.
Do you think?
Yeah, the Vikings should win their final 3 games, because they got the Bengals, Packers, and Bears.
Do you think the Bears are showing improvement, or do you think they
have
are
pieces.
Just playing bad teams? I mean, the Bengals are kind of falling apart, but maybe that's a bad example.
I don't think they're good. I think they have pieces to like build on or whatever they can add through free agency in the draft next year, but it's going to be without John Fox.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think he's gone after this year? No way.
There's already reports. I think Ian Rappaport from NFL Network said that they're already planning to fire him by the end of the season. So It's not surprising. I don't think he's had a winning record since he's been there. So
yeah.
But I mean,
I feel bad
Jay
for.
Cutler.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He got stuck in Jay Cutler land, and that's also where coaches go to die. But where Jay Cutler plays quarterback.
But then you sign players like Mike Glennon to giant contracts.
Yeah,
for no reason.
That was such an insane contract. And the more we watch Case Keenum play, he has to be better than Mike Glennon. Like I feel like Keenum is going to deserve nearly all of that money, and I feel like Glennon did not deserve.
He should get more than that.
Yeah, by not a ton, but a fair amount more.
I did hear someone talking about Keenum being in the MVP discussion today, and I was like, I mean, you get a vote.
Yeah. He can be on the list, but he's not at the top where we're actually discussing.
Just like you could probably vote Cam Newton for MVP.
Before I forget, Joe Webb.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yes,
a Joe Webb sighting.
That was a fun game to watch.
Oh, incredible!
From what you could see.
I didn't get to watch I watched a little bit of it, but the pictures from that game that were going around on Twitter were just incredible.
I think I looked it up, and I think the teams they ran at least 90 times yesterday.
I saw Adam Vinatieri had a kick that looked it was going to be so not even close,
like a David Beckham kick.
Yeah, totally, and it wound up swinging back. But on that play, if you watch the replay of it in slow motion, the Buffalo defender that's on the far end just like he tries to take off and he just falls down like twice because he's just slipping on the snow.
Yeah, so he can't get your footing.
Yeah, just
there was like a good 6 inches they were playing in.
It was unbelievable.
And it kept falling.
Oh God,
But that's where I used to live,
dude,
that area.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Then that happens when it snows like that. That's not uncommon for it to like come down in like huge like things like that.
That's lake effect snow.
Yeah, man, lake effect. That's what it is. That was the term I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
That's no thanks, man. I don't want that at all.
There are a lot of fans there, though.
A lot of...
They were probably all drunk, but...
Yeah. A lot of people. Yeah. I don't know why
I think tickets were
my brain went to like box fan, like, and I was like, why would they have for the snow? Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot.
They had leaf blowers actually.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what the?
But I think tickets were. I think I saw before yesterday or something. Last week, the tickets were like $2 to that game. So I would have gone to that game if.
Would you for $2?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I probably would have been like, I'm good, and would have gone home and watched it on TV.
Yeah, after a while. No, I wouldn't have been able. I wouldn't have been able to like get my wife to go for sure.
By the end of that game, there was one of those pictures was like from a little bit behind the crowd, and like the people had piles of snow.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon football game in winter.
Did you see that Tom Savage concussion?
Oh yeah.
And he went in after that.
That was what I was going to say. But how do you see that and let
apparently
a guy get back on
Bill O'Brien and the training staff didn't see that video, so they let him go back in. Still, the refs could have the refs thought
he was
could have ran
standing
over
on top of him practically.
Yeah, he could have ran over him and like, you cannot put him back in there.
Yeah.
Apparently he was spitting out blood too.
Oh, jeez, Louise, that was
like. And why does he even want to go back in? Like, what is he fighting for? Like, the Texans are not going anywhere.
Well, and like, how can you, as a football player in that situation, get to the sideline and not think to yourself like, don't have a lot from a little bit ago. It's pretty apparent to me that I'm just on the sideline now and I shouldn't be. You know, like, don't you? I mean, I've never been like concussed like that, so I guess I don't really know. But like, wouldn't your brain tell you that there's a missing part here, and maybe
if your brain's not working?
Yeah, I suppose.
But I don't know. I think it's a different breed of animal in the NFL because they don't have guaranteed contracts, so they're always doing whatever they can to stay in the game because they don't know if it'll be their last.
Yeah, good call. And at any point you can.
But that was scary. That was scary.
Those are so gross. There was one...
I think the NFLPA is investigating it or something.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Because that's the kind of stuff... I mean, like, from the NFL's perspective, you cannot have that. Like, you can't have a hit that results in something that ugly. I mean, everybody says...
Someone dying.
Yeah, it's
because they just had
football, it's football.
The Shazier stuff.
Yeah.
With him, and then all those big hits.
That's so bad. Too. You cannot have that if you're the NFL. And then, not only that, then you let dude go back in. And you're trying to present this. We care about head injuries and concussions and the protocol. And it's like...
Roger Goodell should have been like on the phone, been like, you cannot put him
real.
Back in there.
No, exactly. That's like a grab the glowing red phone and like, he can't go back in. Like, fix this into the ref's earpiece. You know they have it. I'm kidding. I can't get into that conspiracy theory. But yeah, that was ugly. That one, the Tom Savage, that was like the ugliest like knockout hit thing that I've seen since who was the kid? He's a running back for Detroit a few years ago. Of course, had concussion issues. That Best maybe was his last name?
Yeah.
When he was in college, he got hit, knocked out, and
Best.
Yeah, and his helmet fell off, and it was like the over the top, and he was like, oh yeah, and it was just, oh, that's so gross.
Well, that happens sometimes with like, I think that with Devontae Adams, like he was just out cold.
Yeah. When
they played the Bears, so like there's those that are, I guess people are used to now. It sucks at the same time, and then you see the ones where like the limbs go stiff, which is kind of what happened with Shazier, but it looked more like he just couldn't move his legs. Like he rolled over and like
that was the thing, because he like grabbed his back, and I was like, he grabbed his back. I was like, oh, that was weird, and then he flopped his legs over, and I was like, ooh, that's not good for.
It sounds
that was
like
so brutal.
Sounds like he's going to be good. It doesn't really matter if he doesn't play football again, but it sounds like he'll be fully functional once again sometime.
That's good. That was brutal. The grab the back and.
But those are the things. Like, this is football. You can try and make the game as safe as possible, but stuff like that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, see, and I think that's the point on the Tom Savage thing is there was a huge portion of that didn't have to happen, and you can't have it happen when you have a guy like. I don't like that. Now, I'm obviously not a doctor, so I'm not sure if what he had there was a seizure.
Well, they have WebMD.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So I guess we're all kind of doctors, aren't we?
Yeah. He had cancer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Tom Savage is definitely going to die from whatever happened to him.
Well, actually, he probably will.
But I don't call it a seizure. That freaks me out. That wasn't a seizure. He got knocked out and he locked up because
apparently those are concussion symptoms.
Is that a seizure? Seizure? Is that what was happening?
If you get hit on no, not it's not a seizure, but if you get hit in a certain place on your brain or whatever, that can happen. Your arms can seize up or whatever.
Yeah, or I remember this is a long time ago, but I think it was on Thanksgiving one year, the Packers played the Cowboys in Dallas, and one of the Dallas assistant coaches, I believe, this was in the mid-'90s, early 90s, one of the Dallas assistant coaches got hit by, players ran out of bounds and hit him.
His head slam.
Smashed his head. And
I was trying to think the other day, there was a Lions player that I think he got paralyzed during either a Thanksgiving game or a regular season game. I can't remember. I think it was in the 90s, but
that's so terrible.
It's just it happens.
It does happen.
When you're playing a game that physical.
But that arms going up is your brain resetting. It's you're going into the fetal position because you're
it's scary.
Snapping. It's so scary. And you're right. It is part of football. And everybody
it's really hard to make it safe. Unless you're wearing a full body suit, it's really hard.
I just don't understand how. I guess this country. Maybe not this country is the wrong thing to say, but how so many people can be so bent out of shape about how violent football is, but UFC is on every G.
Yeah.
And what's more violent? That's literally the end of that game is him getting knocked unconscious.
Well, what about hockey?
Yeah, hockey too. Well, they're kind of cleaning that up a little bit more. There's less fighting in the goon is basically gone, but
flying on skates with
sticks.
That's
true. And hitting them, hitting guys and concussing folks and I don't know. Do you think that
people are just getting bigger and stronger and
exactly? Do you think it's up to the people in charge of the NFL to change the rules to protect the players, or do you think it's on the players to educate themselves and understand what kind of risks they're getting into?
Oh, I think it's both. Just the players have to learn how to tackle differently now, just because that's the rules. But you're always gonna with the Juju Smith-Schuster thing. People are well, he didn't have to hit him in the head. It's he's 2 inches away from him.
Yeah,
and people are he could have moved. It's a split-second decision.
I hate that argument.
It's Vontez Burfict who outweighs him by 60 pounds. What is he going to do? Just stand there and get run over?
Exactly.
I mean, he didn't have to stand over him and taunt him, but that's the kind of play you got to make.
It is. That's your job. If you don't make that play, you don't play.
He was going
NFL.
in. I think Antonio Brown was the one who caught the ball, and Burfict was going to tackle him. He's trying to tackle him, and so Schuster
threw a block. Yeah. It frustrates me. Those types of rules, the defenseless.
We should probably just boycott the NFL, though.
Yeah, so. I think so. That was where I was going with that. I'm surprised you beat me to it, but yeah. I mean, it's too controversial, It's I'd rather just watch cable news, I'd just rather watch 24-hour news cycle, talking head after talking head. That's
definitely not
for me.
Definitely not.
That's where I want to go. I don't know. The concussion thing, I get wanting to protect the players and not wanting to, but I don't know, man. I have a tough time if they're grown-ups and adults and that's their profession and they want to play it. And they're
adults. I wouldn't go as far as grown-ups, but adults.
Yeah, good call. Great. Yeah, that's a very good call. But if they're adults and they want to do that and they want to put that kind of harm and risk on their body, isn't that kind of their call?
You know what
too,
you're signing up for.
Yeah, totally. The same way the UFC guys are like they're not trying to change those rules because those guys are. That's what you do, you know.
You get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah. Do you think that it's the NFL because of its popularity? It's got. I mean, obviously there's a huge magnifying glass on the whole league, but like, do you think this concussion stuff and that, like, why is this such a big deal if it's these guys are adults and they can make this decision on their own, you know?
I don't
like
think
at UFC.
Yeah. I don't think it's much different than how it's ever been. It's just more scrutinized now with all like the lawsuits and stuff with CTE.
Yeah, fair point. That changes how.
But apparently you can get
run, yeah,
you can get CTE from not even getting a concussion, just like constant head trauma. So
and also a lot of those studies that people are using as, you know, for their statistics on these things, the only brains that they have to study are ones that are donated by guys who think they have CTE because they used to play football and they're having symptoms. So it's like, well, 99% of these. Well, yeah, because 99% of those dudes were football players who donated their brains for the study because they thought they had CTE. Obviously early in the whole scheme of things. I'm not saying that they're lying about the effects of it.
I mean, their helmets were made of like plastic.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of stuff I get. Make helmets better. Make them less concussive, you know, because helmets are designed for fractures, not concussions.
I just don't like the argument that like the NFL didn't make us aware of the effects of concussions. Really?
You needed the NFL to tell you that banging your head against something over a period of years was bad for you?
You're seeing stars. That's probably not good.
I don't remember the game at all. That's probably not good.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting debate, but I think it's so early in the
long time.
Forever, and it's still so early in it, you know? We're not going to fully know what is going on.
But at the same time, they're trying to make it better. Yeah. There's companies that are trying to develop better helmets, but you know, players are flying at each other a million miles an hour. It's just the force of impact or whatever. It's just always gonna happen. And now, instead of people getting their heads knocked off, now they're getting their knees blown out. So
yeah, and that's totally it. And that's what you want if you're the NFL, because the guy can come back from a torn ACL. Guy can't. Steve Young couldn't come back from the concussions.
It's also hurting the league because you got players like Odell Beckham and Sean Watson out.
But is it hurting the league? Because all of a sudden, a team that we thought was going to be really mediocre,
it's not hurting the league
the playoffs, the Vikings
it's not hurting the league for Vikings fans. But it's more fun when you have players like Beckham and
I would agree.
And Rodgers out there. Like, because some of these Sunday, I'm sorry, some of these like Sunday night and Monday night games are just
brutal. They're so bad.
The Patriots and Dolphins tonight, like, cool, Patriots, whatever. I don't think they're gonna lose, but
I like turning those games on. Yeah, I like turning those games on in the fourth quarter and watch the announcers try and figure out what they're gonna talk about now because the backup is in.
So I think they had the Giants and 49ers a couple weeks ago.
It's so bad. So bad. Oh, well, we made it an hour.
Yeah.
Good
Crazy.
Good concussion talk there. That was I'm into it.
Hopefully we bring awareness.
Yeah, there you go. That's all we can
probably
do.
No,
probably I don't think so. But, you know, well, all we can do is try. I think the Vikings are going to win. Skol Vikings.
Quick announcement for you. Soon to be Vikings writer. Tyler Hack. Yeah. So.
New article coming soon.
Oh boy. Hot takes.
Hot takes in written form.
Minus the furnace.
Yeah, minus the furnace. I'll find it.
Okay.
All right, but we'll see you next week.
All right. Go Vikings.
Skol Vikings.